Welcome to another DragonLance Saga review episode. It is Palast New Cult the 19th. My name is Adam, and today I'm going to give you my review of the Thieves Guild by Jeff Crook. I would like to take a moment and thank the DL Saga members and Patreon patrons and invite you to become a member or patron by visiting the links in the description below. You can even pick up Dragonlance Media or get $10 off by signing up for startplaying.games using my affiliate links. Now, this is my perspective only, and if yours differs, that's okay. Share your thoughts in live YouTube chat if you're joining live, or in Twitch if you're joining on Twitch, and then, of course, in the comments below if you're watching this after the fact. Love to hear what you guys have to say about these, because we all enjoy Dragonlance novels in different ways, and we all see different things in them that we appreciate. So I always love hearing what other people think about this stuff. All right, so this is a pre-written review. Afterward, I'll just give you my sort of thoughts as I bounce around. I believe this is a one-off. I don't think this story ties in with any others that I'm aware of, but there is some sort of connective tissue with the greater Dragonlance Saga as a whole, which we'll get into throughout this. So, pardon me. Let's get into it. Hey, Corey, how you doing? Thanks for tuning in, by the way. This is such a well-written story thus far. We're presented with Palanthas under the rule of the Knights of Neraka. They have routed the Thieves Guild, murdering them all nearly in one night. Years later, a wealthy merchant has a shipment of rare herb powder arriving that was paid for by Mistress Jenna of the Red Robes. This powder comes from the Dragon Isles and is very expensive. It's naturally a target for thieves. As Kale Ironstaff infiltrates the mercenaries' home during his spring dawning eve party, he comes across another thief who already has the substance. He takes it from Alinthia Krathmal, a high-ranking thief in the new Thieves Guild, and escapes. The next day, the Lord High Justice Sir Arak Janin, a Thorn Knight, arrives to investigate, as does Jenna of the Red Robes. They discover the thief used magic and killed another thief. They believe it's an associate of a blacksmith that recently rebarred the merchant's windows. The Spring Dawning Festival proceeds with Kale visiting his dwarven friend Karzog. They go to the festival together and hear Sir Elistone Kincaid, the Lord Knight of Palanthas, read a declaration from Sir Morhan Targon, the Lord of Night. He declares that the Knights of Neraka are now called the Knights of Neraka. No one seems to care, and the festivities continue unabated. Kale is confronted by Alinthia and a band of thieves who chases him into the sewers and eventually captures him. He's brought before Mulciber, the Thieves Guild's master, and sentenced to death for stealing from them and selling it to someone else. As Kale is responsible for the thieves' deaths, Alinthia requests to own him and train him to be a guild thief. They eventually agree on the provision that he can steal the potion of shone for the guild. She agrees, and they disperse. Sir Kincaid commands Sir Janin to find this Kale thief and deliver him so Mistress Jenna will leave him alone. I will say quickly, in like another paragraph or something like that, this whole story beat that starts this whole story in motion is quickly forgotten, like out of nowhere. And there's a lot of these types of little story beats that are presented and then just totally fall flat and drop out of nowhere. It's an odd thing to happen when it's supposed to be a single cohesive novel. It's almost as if this was supposed to be something bigger than just one novel and had to be like cut and trimmed a lot in order just to fit a page count or something like that. So weeks later, Kale has been training with the Thieves Guild, learning how to work with the tactics. He's sent on a test in the sewers to the heart of Palanthas, which is an old dwarven home, Coldforge, or Calthax as they call it. Within, they have to pass a series of tests to fully join the guild, but only a few have ever passed them. They get split up as the knights are searching for Kale in the tunnels, and he and one of the thieves sneak into a beast's lair, who kills his partner, and he kills it in return, discovering the secret door. He's denied entry by Alinthia, who admonishes him for leaving the group that he was sent in here with, and ending with the death of his partner. Mistress Jenna meets Arak Janin to tell him that the Thieves Guild is set to raid her store, and while he adamantly denies there's a Thieves Guild, he agrees to ambush the intruders. Okay, so how did Mistress Jenna know that the Thieves Guild was going to come and steal from her? It's never once answered. There's literally no reason why she would know or how she would know ever presented in this novel. And it just falls flat after that. So it's very, very strange. Hey, Justin, thanks for tuning in. As the thieves enter for the potion of shone, which Jenna has, their attempt is thwarted by Jenna's magic, and they narrowly escape, with Kale and Alinthia being chased around the city by the Lord High Justice and his men. They are consistently on their tail. They enter Shoiken Grove to hide, and that whole thing, I get that the Tower of High Sorcery in Palanthas is no longer there. At this time of this writing, it was believed to have just totally disappeared somehow magically. Of course, we all know where it went at this point. But the power of the Grove still exists. Like, some of the most powerful people on Krynn tried to enter the Grove and could not. These two enter and hide in it, protected by this artifact that's a staff and a sword and a dragon slayer and everything that is ever needed in the story on this Kale character's person. It's just like the ultimate get out of jail free card whenever the narrative needs one. And it's really aggravating because, again, the writing is good. The premise of this story is good, but the execution is not. And it's just contrivance after contrivance. Okay. So they enter Shoiken Grove to hide, and then end up sneaking out of the old town and splitting up. Alinthia is caught by the knights, and Kale saves her by running them off. As she goes to flee, the alley erupts, attacking the knights. As Kale tries to escape, he is caught and sentenced to death by slow torture. He's imprisoned in the dungeons. He's rescued a month later by the gnome Gimzig and Alinthia. As they are escaping in the sewers, Gimzig is attacked and pulled underwater by a sewer beast, and Alinthia takes the unconscious Kale to a safe house. He's sick and unconscious for another month. When he wakes, he learns that the Thieves Guild labeled them both traitors and are looking for them, as are the Knights of Neraka. Alinthia is convinced if they find a treasure named the Reliquary, they could earn their way back into the Thieves Guild. Kale doesn't care, but he swears to help her get it if she will help him get his staff for him that was taken by Sir Janin. They break into the Great Library of Palanthas and have Barum show them to the volumes about recovered treasure from the Thieves Guild in the years past, in hopes that the reliquary will be annotated somewhere. It is not. With nothing to go off of, they turn to retrieve Kale's staff. They break into Janin's office and take the staff, inadvertently starting a fire. They see Mulciber sneaking into the keep, and they follow him to see that it's actually Alinthia's husband, Captain Oros of the Thieves Guild. It turns out that he was behind the fall of the guild years ago, and he is about to make a deal with the knights to have it fall again if he can keep some treasure. Alinthia refuses to believe it as a dragon spots them and chases them out of town and into the bay. It leaves them for dead as they slink into the taverns and coincidentally find a childhood protector of Alinthia, thought dead, who confirms Oros's treachery. She demands to see him face to face, and when they search his office, they find a note about treasure being transferred to his ship. They go to the ship and find the reliquary, and Oros and his minotaur Kolov attack them both. Kale defends the reliquary, running into the city, and is rescued by the gnome Gimzig again. They defeat Kolov, and Janin arrives, only to be killed by Kale. Again, this whole novel has been setting up this incredible Minotaur warrior named Kolov, and how he's the best sword fighter in all of Krynn, and he can't wait to kill Kale, and he's only held off by Oros. Olaf. And then Gimzig, the gnome, ends up like killing the Minotaur with one of his gnomish contraptions, and just totally neuters the threat of this massive Minotaur by the most unlikely of victors. And then Janin, the Thorn Knight, comes up with Kale's staff in his hand, and he's ready to murder him, and Kale gets the upper hand instantly and kills him instantly, meaning that Janin was never a threat in the first place. So all of the things that are set up as like these great, horrible, life-threatening, dangers are defeated instantly without any real trouble or danger at all. It really deflates, it lets the air out of the tires of the story when you do that, because you build something up only to have it fall flat, thereby ruining the entire buildup and the story overall. I just don't understand why there's so many extras thrown into this short story into this novel for no reason that don't lead anywhere or actually act to work against the story's narrative itself. It's really kind of aggravating. All right. So, meanwhile, Olympia is brought before the guild and sentenced to death by Mulcifer, but then Mulcifer counteracts the order, revealing there to have never been a Mulcifer, as Kale stands there in his stead. The guild turns against Oros and captures him. With the guild back in order and the immediate enemies taken care of, Kale leaves to steal the Founder's Stone and affix it to his dwarven friend's gravestone. The knights ask Jenna to get it off the stone for them, but she refuses, saying she isn't able, but secretly she believes it belongs there. Now, look, this was a good story, but the time shifts were constant and erratic. Crook clearly realized he had to wrap up the story in a hurry in the third act, and it was just one resolution after another with contrived solutions and meetings belying credulity. I did enjoy the story overall, and the suggestion that Kale is Tanis half-elven and a sea elf's son, which even even the aesthetic, oh my gosh, I just said his name earlier. Oh, what is his name? You know what? I can't find his name because I'm looking for it. Where is his name? Baratrum, not Barum, Baratrum. So even Baratrum thinks he looks like Tanis half-elven, and Kale goes around the whole story saying that he's the illegitimate son of Tanis half-elven. And look, Tanis half-elven slept around a bit, but at no point did he have time to sleep with the sea elf while he was rescued by them in sunken Istar during the War of the Lance. So I don't know what that story beat was supposed to devolve. I'm sorry, what it was supposed to evolve into, or if he meant to squash the story at the end, he never did. And so it's just sort of left open-ended. And Kale also has this incredibly powerful artifact that's not only a sword like Tanis half-elven's given to him by Kith Cannon in the Slaw Mori outside of Pax Tharkaz, this ancient sword. There, supposedly in this story, it said there was 3 of these swords made. One of them was Tanis half-elven's that he ended up getting, that Kith Cannon owned, which was a dragon-slaying sword. The one that he has in this story is the most powerful of the 3, and they never reference the third. And so he's walking around with this artifact that does literally anything that it needs to do to save the main character. It'll teleport from one person's ownership to another person. It'll let him breathe in water. It'll absorb magical attacks. It'll hum around dragons. It'll supposedly kill dragons if it gets a chance to strike them. It's just like this most powerful magical artifact ever in this rando dude's hand that just happens to save him whenever he needs saving. It's just ridiculous. I mean, just completely ridiculous. In any case, I did have fun reading it. And so there are worse Dragonlance stories with worse plot lines and worse resolutions. And so you kind of got to reflect on these Dragonlance stories as, okay, well, it may not have made a lot of sense, but did you enjoy it while you read it? And if the answer is yes, well, then it's kind of a half thumbs up, right? Because sometimes you just hate the stories. And so it's better that you actually enjoyed yourself reading it, even if it was super nonsensical and the pacing was all over the place and time jumps. And I don't know, it was really crazy. You've got to read this story if you haven't yet. So in any case, if you love Dragonlance, you should definitely read this novel. And if you really like thief stories, you'd probably dig this one as well. Otherwise, you could probably skip it. And that's it for my review of Thieves Guild by Jeff Crook. I don't really have anything else to say. I mean, they just threw in random NPCs to help players along. They threw in random characters to help the main characters along when the main characters were at their wit's end. And everything was just so convenient that it made no logical sense in a lot of times. which is just lazy writing. Just set up your story better, and you don't have to come up with these ridiculous scenarios. Just have logic in your story, and that's it. In any case, what did you think of Kale being Tanis' son? Do you like magical artifacts being used in stories like this? And finally, should the Thieves Guild have a happy ending? Feel free to email me at info@dlsaga.com or leave a comment below. I would like to thank creator patron Aaron Hardy, producer patron Azrael, and developer patrons Chris Androu and Sam Ruiz. I would also like to take a moment and remind you to subscribe to this YouTube channel, ring the bell to get notified about upcoming videos, and click the like button. This all goes to help other Dragonlance fans learn about this channel and its content. This channel is all about celebrating the wonderful world of the Dragonlance Saga, and I hope you'll join in that celebration. Thank you for watching. This has been Adam with Dragonlance Saga, and until next time, Slanjavar.